welcome to this week's video. Now, coming up in this week's video, here's me about 12 years ago in my loft. This is me on a gig last night. And this is me about an hour ago. So as you probably noticed in those videos, there's one common theme, is I'm attempting to play the pedal steel in all of them. And that's because I've taken it back up again, even though I've had this instrument quite a long time. Here it is. I gave it up for about 10 years, well, not intentionally, but I just didn't have room to set it up. So anyway, I'm going to play this piece that I did earlier. It's helped me make it through the night. I just did a little backing track on my computer, and I played along with it. And I have to say, I'm going to be honest here, I thought it was going to take me about a day to do this recording, because I've been struggling getting it in tune and stuff. But this, what you're going to see here, it was the second take, well, first and a half take, because I mucked up the first take a few bars in, stopped and started again, and this was the take, so this was almost the first take. And I can't believe I've completely surprised myself with this, because I thought this was going to take me all day to do this, but actually, so I'm quite pleased with this. I'm very much a beginner, but I thought this sounded all right. So check this out. There's a bit of my playing, and then we shall get on to more about this. So what's brought this on, I hear you say? Well, I didn't hear you say, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It was either 12 or 13 years ago, I was really getting into country music. I've written a song about this. It's called I Should Have Been a Cowboy. Look it up on Spotify or wherever you get your music.
I guess I should have been a cowboy. I could have played those cowboy songs. Everyone could come and see me. Sing along.
And we went to Vegas on honeymoon, and we went on a trip to the Grand Canyon. Then afterwards we went to this ranch, which I think is called Grand Canyon Ranch or something. You can look it up. And you get a meal cooked by the cowboys, you go horse riding in the moonlight, etc, etc. All of this is in the song, every word of it is true. And then a cowboy comes around and serenades you. And I was just sat there listening, enjoying it. And my wife went, oh, he plays the guitar. So I ended up then having to play the guitar myself with the cowboy for the rest of the evening. It was like a busman's holiday. Anyway, I then spent the rest of the honeymoon writing this song, which became I Should Have Been a Cowboy, which I really like. It's a very catchy tune. You should check that one out. And I wanted to get that pedal steel sound on it. So the first thing I did, I remember my dad had this old lap steel that he'd got out of my grandma's loft. So I borrowed that, and I was doing all this stuff. I was bending the strings, pulling it behind the bar and all kinds of things. And then I started seriously looking into getting one. And I did, and well, here it is. Here's the one I got about, I think it was 12 or 13 years ago. So I got quite good at it quite quickly because I got obsessed and practiced it every day. I couldn't really play the instrument generally, but I could do a few quite difficult things. And this is a solo from Highway 40 Blues, which is a Ricky Skaggs song, and it's Bruce Boughton doing the solo. And I kind of worked this one out. I can't remember if I transcribed it myself. I think I did, because I've got the tab I found for it. And I learned how to play it, and this was all that time ago in the loft. So I actually bought this guitar on eBay back then. There seemed to be more of them available then, and they weren't quite so expensive. All the ones I've seen now seem to be a lot of money. This is an Emmons Lashley Legrand 2, I think it's called. And it's a proper professional level instrument, even though maybe it doesn't sound it when I'm playing it. And I bought it in Maidstone from a guy called Eric Snowball, who turned out to be a bit of a legend in the pedal steel world. He was a guy who imported lots of pedal steels into the country in certainly the 80s, maybe the 70s as well. And he was shutting down his shop in Maidstone when I bought it because he was unwell. And I think this might have even been the last one that he sold. And he did contact me about 6 months to a year after I bought it, because an identical one came up on eBay. I saw it, and I think, I'm only guessing, but I think he thought I was maybe selling it again, because he'd been very generous. Even after I bought it, he then stuck in the post an extra bar that he'd had made, and an Emmons keyring and stuff. And I assured him, no, I'm not selling mine. Even though recently, and I'll get onto this in a minute, I nearly did sell it because it's very frustrating. So then after that, what you just saw me playing in the loft, it takes up a lot of room, and I haven't got a lot of room in here, and I basically had to put it in the loft and then didn't play it. So I stopped playing it for about 10 years. Occasionally somebody asked me if I could do something on a session, which I could just about manage, because you can kind of do a bit at a time. And I'd get it out, and then I put a bit of me playing it not very well on Instagram, and almost immediately a friend of mine called John messaged me and said, I've got a country band, do you want to do a gig on it? To which I said, well, I can't really play it. And he went, no, you'll be all right, as he always does. And he persuaded me to do it, and I then went out and did a few gigs on it, kind of eased myself in. I wasn't even using my finger picks, and I have got a proper pedal steel amp, which I bought for guitar, which sounds fantastic. So I started doing that, and that was probably about a year ago, and I've done the odd gig. And I have to say, I was actually getting to the point, because I was hurting my back getting it out, and I was really getting fed up with it. I nearly got to the point where I was going to have to say to John, look, I can't do this anymore. I just can't cart this thing about. But then a few things happened which have really reignited my passion for it, and now I'm completely obsessed again. And here's just a little clip from a gig that I did last night with John. Now, as you can hear, one of my frustrations with this thing is keeping it in tune, and there's some tuning issues there, but we were playing outside and the guitars were going out of tune. It was very difficult. Anyway, what happened was, so I've met completely by accident in the last couple of months, two of the top UK pedal steel players, completely by chance. I was playing in a pub, I was doing rockabilly stuff, I was playing my Gretsch, and at the end this guy came up to me and he said, oh, I've never seen a Milkman amplifier before in the UK, that's the first one I've ever heard. And I said, well, that's a pedal steel amp. He said, I know, I'm a pedal steel player. I said, are you? Do you live around here? I'd like to see you playing. And he kind of went, no, I don't really play around here. He said, I'm the pedal steel player in Squeeze. And it turns out he plays in Los Pacaminos with Paul Young, and in Squeeze. His name is Melvin Duffy. And he was a very nice guy. And on the same gig, a friend of mine called John offered to give me a pedal steel, which I've now got. I haven't got that one out at the moment, I can't get to them out. It gave me a Showbud Maverick, which is a kind of student model, which I'm hoping is going to get me out gigging on it more, because it's kind of quite small. I can just stick it in the car, unlike this one, which I'll show you how tricky this one is to set up, etc. in a bit. And then last weekend I was playing at the Foodie Festival in Brighton, and this guy pulled up in a car and he got out this stool, and I thought, that looks like a pedal steel stool. And I went up to him, I said, is that a pedal steel? He went, how many people would recognise this 1970s vintage Showbud pedal steel stool? So I started talking to him about pedal steel. Anyway, then he told me he had his own gauge of strings on Strings Direct. And I said, well, what's your name? Nick Zala. I said, I've been looking you up this week. I've been looking at your website. And he went, someone video this. I've been recognised. Yeah, it was great. So I looked him up, and he's a sort of very prolific player as well. So I actually got to hear him. He was playing a universal instrument. He was fantastic. It was so nice. It's the weird thing about playing this instrument. You never get to see anyone else doing it. So I got to watch very closely what he was doing, and he was brilliant. So all these things happened, and I'm now obsessed with it again. I'm joining all these forums online. I spent ages Googling various things, and I'm going to show you all the things that I've been doing. I did a video earlier of me playing it and showing you all the finger picks and stuff. So I'm going to go over to those. So have a look at this. So the finger picks. Now these are the ones I've currently settled on, and these are the ones Paul Franklin uses. And as he's the one of the best in the world, I can't blame the tools, can I? So this thumb pick, these are Herco, these thumb picks, and actually, not wishing to name drop, but Brent Mason told me about these. I did one of those online lessons with him. It was a birthday present a few years ago, and he told me about these, and he said Paul Franklin uses them as well, and these are the best thumb picks that I've used. This is the journey you go through. Hang on, let me show you these. So these are the ones a lot of people use, these national ones, and I did struggle with those a little bit. Then I tried these Herco plectrum shaped ones. There's another plectrum shaped one. I've got all these other ones too. I mean, it's an endless process. And then I moved on to these finger picks. Well, I had the standard Dunlop ones to begin with, the ones with the little holes in, which I can't find now. In the 12 years of not playing, they've disappeared somewhere. But I did still have these ones, and these were more expensive ones, and these are actually very good. These are, I can't remember what they're called, but they're for a start they look different, so you can see which fingers they're supposed to go on, but you have to spend absolutely ages bending them to your fingers. I've probably got these bent too close to my fingers, but these feel a bit weird because I've just swapped over to a different sort. Of course, you've got to get the bar right as well, but I mean, that is what it is. So those are actually only in the last 2 or 3 days, because my new obsession with it, I went onto the internet. I was doing searches and discovered that Paul Franklin now had his own signature picks, which are based on the national ones, and they're now made by D'Addario. And here they are. And I have to say, I was a bit sceptical because these are really, I wish I could remember the names of these ones. Ah! Just make funny noises when you drop things on it. These are very good, these ones, but actually I think I now prefer these Paul Franklin ones. They didn't take quite as long to bend into shape. I've got the old pliers on them. And they're smaller, but they do seem to fit quite nicely. Yeah, so there we go. I didn't have to spend these other ones. I spent absolutely weeks trying to get them right, but these ones weren't too bad. So this, it seems like a good setup. As for tuning, when I first got this thing, I discovered that you can't just tune it in tune. You can't just go through and tune it straight up to a tuner on each note, because if you do that, it sounds out of tune. I mean, half the time it sounds out of tune anyway, but so what you have to do, first of all, I downloaded an app. Well, no, I didn't. Yes, I did. I downloaded an app, but I looked up how much you need to flatten and sharpen each string to make it sound right. But not only do you have to flatten and sharpen each string, you have to then tune the bend. So, for example, that note, you not only have to tune this, so you're tuning it. See, I'm obsessing over this at the moment. So the third you have to tune slightly flat. So the G sharp, I think you're tuning it flat. The reason I can't remember now is because then I bought a Peterson tuner, and this has sweetened tunings built into it, and it's set to EM9, which is the Buddy Emmons 9, Nashville 9, and EP9, which is what you do. So then you press the pedals down. You have to have it on a different sweetened tuning, tune the strings differently when you've got the pedals down. So, and the way you tune it, I'll show you here. You have to, using this key, this is to tune the bends. Each bend, and this is push pull, so it pushes and pulls the notes. You have to twist this on the little peg. I'll show you here. And you have to basically then to press the pedal and then tune the note. So you tune the open string on the open tuning, sweeten tuning, then you switch it to the other tuning, and you have to twist these for each different bend on each different knee lever or pedal. So the first thing you do when you get the thing is you have to get it out the box and put it all together, and it's a blooming nightmare. So first of all, this weighs an absolute flipping ton. I mean, it weighs, it's more than my amp. Well, it's certainly more my pedal steel amp, because that's quite light, but I think it weighs as much, certainly as much as my, I can't see the camera, Vibra. Maybe not quite as much as the Vibra King, but it's so heavy. Anyway, so this is the case it comes in. I've done the camera like this because I thought it was the easiest way of showing how you set the flipping thing up. So, here we go. This is what you have to contend with. So it's face down in the box, and what you need to do, the legs and the rods all come in this bag. And luckily, all the legs are the same on this one. The other one I got given, you have to put the legs in a specific place. So these screw in, and these legs themselves are really heavy. I mean, that contributes to the weight of it. I expect you can get lightweight ones, but I mean, that's solid metal. That's not hollow, I don't think, or it's certainly got very thick walls. So you have to screw these in first. Then, this is the bar that has the pedals on it. And you have to get that the right way around. So you have to put this onto the, slide these along, put these onto the back legs. You can see that, hopefully. So attach this, slide them on, tighten them up. And the next bit, you've got to connect these pedals to the mechanism down here, and that's done with these rods. Now, this is the thing that you need good eyesight for, especially in a dark bar or venue, wherever you're playing. They've got little numbers on here. So this one is number 1, they're all adjusted to be the right length. So this one you can probably see is number 1, which means it has to go on, and I've written on here, pedal number 1, it's actually got little dots on that somebody else put on there. You have to hook it in here, and the trouble is you haven't got enough room. Like in my studio, sometimes I can't get enough angle to get this in, but you have to hook that in there. It's like a hook a duck at the fair, but you don't win a prize when you get that in. Well, if your prize is playing the pedal steel at the end of it, I suppose. Number 2, so you have to hook it onto the little thing, and then you lock it in with these little levers. Number 3. Right, now you're ready to take it out the case. Now this is the tricky bit, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to show quite the extent of this on the camera, but I'm going to kick the case out like, oh, lift it, and then normally turn it on its side, try not to put the strings on the floor, and then lift it the right way around. There we go. All set up. Actually, what I didn't show you was the knee levers. Let's just put it back upside down so you can see the knee levers. Actually, I couldn't put it on its side. These are the knee levers that you have to fold out, and these all bend different strings in different ways. Actually, it's these ones that do those 2 strings. It's got a half stop on it, so you can do a semitone, then a tone. And this one does I like this change. So there we go. Oh, that's how you quite simply set up a pedal steel, and then you've got to get your breath back before you can play it. And it's the only instrument that I play where I have to take my own stool. But not the worst thing is you've got to get the right shoes. And when I met Nick Zala last week or the week before, he has in his pedal steel case his pair of special shoes that he uses to play his pedal steel, which I thought was brilliant. They're actually in his flight case. He uses a pair of Converse. He says they're his in-tune shoes. He can't play in tune if he doesn't have those shoes on. And to anyone who doesn't play the pedal steel would have thought he was joking, but I was like, oh, fair enough. Yeah. Because I know, I mean, I'm playing here in my slippers, and they're all right with trainers. Cowboy boots, I think, well, trouble is if you have the shoes that are too wide, then you end up pressing two pedals at once. Shoes with too stiffer sole, you can't feel the pedals very well, so you have to get the exact right footwear. So it's the only instrument, well, I think drummers, they have to get the right footwear, don't they, to play their bass drum pedals, but other than that, I can't think of any other instrument where you have to wear the right footwear. Let me know if there is another one. So anyway, that's your first several months before you even start looking at playing it. And I have to say, I've not even attempted trying to learn how to read on the thing. I mean, I know there are players that can read on it, and I was watching Paul Franklin. He was saying he really learns in the same way that I think about the guitar. Really, he learns the intervals, so he'll know, going from the bottom rather than knowing what the notes are. Wherever you've got the bar, he'll know that it's a fifth, dominant, seventh, root, 9, third, fifth, etc., going up the strings. So that's the way I'm kind of trying to learn it, and trying to work out where all the bends go and where they go in relation to the open strings. And I mean, honestly, it's why did I decide to play one of these? Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and it's given you a bit more of an insight into the old pedal steel, or haunted knitting machine as some people like to call it. I'm going to leave you with another dodgy solo from my gig last night. I couldn't quite get in tune. And well, I bring out new videos at 7 PM UK time every Friday, so hope to see you next week.